designing something, having to work backwards. Like you want someone to see something, take a photo, and post it on Instagram with a hashtag. How do you get that behavior to happen? That's not simple. And just working, being able to predict and create something that does that, easier said than done. So that's really the art of what you're doing, I think.
Yeah, and it was really about the finding that thing that people were going to respond to. And I tried a lot of stuff. I tried this. I was pleased with it. I thought it was cool. That did okay. Um, this didn't happen in real life though. It was a comp. But what I did find with Instagram is you want something big and obvious and immediately recognizable and legible, right? So this, when you have it on a phone, that's it takes you a couple of beats before you get it. And those were
Oh, that's
not.
interesting. It's almost like you're using the uncanny valley. It looks realistic, but not perfectly real. And it might catch people's eye because they're trying to decide whether or not it's real or CGI or something.
Right, right. But you have to decipher it, as opposed to, this was kind of my first one that was like really really good response.
Yeah.
It's a face, it's a person you recognize. This is Jane Russell from 1950, and you get it, right? They're smiling. It's a face. It's a pretty girl. We get it, and you can say, "I like Jane Russell. I like smiling people," and
Yeah.
and then what I do is I just like the hell out of everyone who had if you get a little play, and then people like your piece, and then you just go through and follow them, and then they follow you back. So that's a really good trick for follow. They haven't they haven't messed that up yet. They keep changing the rules, and
Yeah,
that's
that's nice. It's
part of
still
the fun of
possible.
raising them. But
And
yeah.
so some of the design is kind of like a billboard. You want it to be bold, clear, and very easily digestible. And so, for example, with the water fountain, there's too much going on, too much
Yeah.
detail. The message is kind of smaller and up above, and so because of that, it's not fast enough to convey to the individual what you're trying to do. So you're probably getting people skipping by and things like
Yep.
that. Is that
It's
about
just
right?
it's too much work, and people aren't, you can complain people don't read, or they're not going to stop and look, but I mean that's the nature of the medium, right? People want an
Right.
instant read, and they don't go to Instagram to read an article,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Yep.
go to see something and go, "Ah," and and move on, and maybe engage if you're lucky. So
Yeah.
and then
Oh, so
another thing, yeah,
yeah,
go,
go ahead. No,
please. No, please go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so then where did it go from there? Where did it go? You started getting a little bit of traction. People started posting in places across the United States, like states away. Was this happening, or was it within your region? How far did it kind of spread?
Well, let's have a look. Something important I want to mention is that it's something I learned in my class. It was super valuable to me. Super valuable to me. Excuse me. Was that you have 20 ideas. You can go through 20 ideas in 20 days. So it was something like the 1, 2, 3, 4 method, where you have one piece that you've done, and then you post a lot of other stuff that is related and relevant, but you're not burdening yourself with making all this content yourself. And I'm going to tell you right now that my personal pieces have never gotten the kind of likes that some of my reposts have gotten. So
That's always hard, right?
thank you
But
others.
then again, maybe
Yeah.
other people reposting yours would end up getting more than your original one. So who knows?
Yeah.
It's
And-
fun.
and-
Instagram's funny.
I mean,
like that.
this was solid gold. This was my top post at the time. And I was able to get a lot of followers out of that by following people back. So that was
Yeah.
a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh gosh,
Funny,
that's so true. Was that you?
right? Now No, I didn't do that.
Uh,
I just saw it. So a lot of it is, having to figure out what's hot, what are people responding to.
it also fits the brand because I thought that might have been
Right.
your design. So
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. And then I just have to put a plug in here before I speak to the national impact of my work. This is like, I got what, 1,000, 1,300 for this, 428, 581. This was 291, but this was honestly, this was me slipping this in. And this is probably the thing I'm most proud of. This was my favorite post for 2018, was encouraging new voters to vote. And, this is actually why
I
I
love
did
that.
this.
I
So
love
that
that.
then, and I can tell you, I know 2 people who weren't going to vote who decided to vote because of that, and that
that's huge.
made the whole thing worthwhile to me.
Yeah, that
Um,
counts for a lot.
so it was a lot of good information. But you do the stuff. I was doing the stuff that I did so that I could slip this stuff in there, and then you have the platform, right? Yep. Hey, this one did really well because everyone recognizes this. Everyone loves it, and
Magical thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
that did well. But to get to your question, Justin. One more thing on election day of that year. You wanted to know about people reacting with it. I did put this up in a college to see what people would do, and here are some people looking at it and talking about it. So I did some spying. I sat across the street and watched for a while.
Those look like camera taking poses. Actually, that looks like. And the ultimate compliment is when they take a photo of what you created. I think.
Yeah, it's totally. Oh, that's nice to get to watch people interact with it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So that was election day 2018. So
That
yeah,
was
so
election day
then
2018, and then you asked me, do I do this on off seasons? And I tried for a while, and it turned out
RBG.
it turned out that yeah, like there we got some big wins in the Democrats there, so that was nice. And
Celebration.
then I tried doing some stuff. It was, yeah, I just felt like I didn't want to sit around there going, yeah, I don't like Donald Trump. It got boring. And also, I've got to tell you, I hate social media. I hate it. Hate it. So it turns out that I didn't want to do it when the elections weren't happening. So I really wind up taking 1.5 year breaks on this stuff. Why do I hate social media? Because it's addictive for me. It's kind of
Interesting.
toxic. I had a friend say something he had learned in a class about television and media in general, and he said, if it's not clear to you what the product is for something, you are the product. So
Yeah.
social media is
It's really good.
right. I don't know who said that. It wasn't me, but I thought it was pretty brilliant. It's like,
Yeah.
social media is selling us to people who are selling things on social media. So if you're selling something, great, this is the place for you. Otherwise, I don't know how much you get advertised at, but I get advertised at a lot.
Oh yeah, constantly. And I mean, it's interesting because these things can be used in interesting ways and kind of, I think pro-social ways, like what I consider you're doing. But generally, it seems like it's just this tool for taking everyone's attention and putting it where they want, and not and almost preventing people from being able to focus on something long term.
Yeah.
Because the attention keeps getting drawn everywhere, so no problem can be solved because it's just like puppets being pulled their strings. Yeah,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Now, you use it, don't you?
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
but I've been reevaluating that, and um I don't know, almost trying to make sure every once in a while, do mental check-ins to make sure that my focus doesn't shift from what I consider important, which is
Okay.
easier said than done. And I think when you
Yeah.
kind of, what do they call that? Metacognitive function. So evaluating your own
Thinking about
mental
thinking.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking about thinking, exactly.
Right.
And
I,
I think that's a really important task. I tell everyone that lately. I'm like, and to, the simplest version of it is just like, hey, don't be a puppet and let them pull your strings. If your
Right.
attention keeps flying around, try to figure out if your strings are being pulled. That's it.
no pun intended, but for Vote Bitch on being a puppet. But
Right.
the but the term I like to use is artificial narratives, and I think it's important for individuals to understand themselves really strongly, to understand when they're starting to follow a narrative that isn't true to the kind of the beacon that they're trying to move towards. And so before getting involved in things like social media, it's important to understand what that is. So when you start going in another direction, you can kind of assess and be like, oh, why am I checking out, this subject in such depth when I might have not been guided to that before. So being able to understand what that beacon is, which isn't so easy. And, and I was thinking about what you're doing here and how it is extremely powerful. It's really powerful because an individual not needing a lot of resources in order to push their own artificial narrative that's for a cause that they would like to perpetuate, that they feel is important, is possible, right? And with what you did, it received national media attention as well during that process, right? And so that's really powerful that one individual can do something like that from that starting point. But at the same point that you bring up, it's like one soldier against an entire army, right?
Yeah.
And so that's also kind of the conundrum in this space when one person gets involved. It's like, what is it that you're actually working against in that case? But more of this type of autonomy of individuals perpetuating their own artificial narratives for the truth that they're trying to tell, I would imagine is at least good as a grassroots effort, whatever narrative they want to tell, but people trying to push things that they find to hold value. Because I agree with what you guys are mentioning. Well, honestly, I question what it is that narrative, there doesn't always seem to be a purpose, right? The only purpose is kind of to get your eyeballs and your attention to spend money.
Yeah, versus what's great about your project is if you look at your message in the beginning, it's coherent and doesn't change. You never lose focus on it's vote,
right.
take back the democracy. You're not hopping from issue to issue to issue. I don't know. It's totally a different thing.
Yeah, love it.